Well, good morning. Yes, thank you, Drew. So, I'm Arthur. I'm a rheumatology consultant at the Freeman with an interest in research over here at Newcastle University. A question: why do scientists do what they do? Or to put it another way, how does a scientist decide what research they're going to do? How do they decide what research questions they're going to try and answer? There are a few scientists in the room today, so during the course of the day you'll have an opportunity to ask us that question, and I'm quite sure you'll get a variety of very different answers. You might get someone saying, well, it's the intellectual challenge, it's the thrill of the chase, it's understanding the complexity of the world in which I live, or something pompous like that. You might get a much more personal answer. So it might be, particularly in biomedical research, that somebody has a relative, or perhaps they themselves suffer from a particular condition that they want to understand more about and help improve outcomes for. Whatever the reason, make no mistake, you, the general public, have an increasing role in determining the research questions that we scientists spend our day jobs trying to answer. And the reason that is because it's you, the general public, that support organisations and funding bodies like Arthritis Research UK. And increasingly, these funding bodies are engaging with the general public when they devise their research strategies and prioritise particular areas of research that are important for patients. So actually, you, the general public, drive our decisions as to what we go on to research. And Stephen will correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that that's very much the philosophy that underpins the Arthritis Research UK Centres of Excellence around the country. It's this idea that there are going to be themes of research areas which are prioritised because they're the areas that are going to provide answers that are going to make the biggest impact on patients' lives. And the strategy essentially is that you define those research questions, you find a bunch of interested experts, doesn't matter where they are in the country, as long as they're the best place to address the questions that you're posing. And then you give them some money to answer the question. And in the case of the Centres of Excellence, it's, I think, usually totals about £6.5 million over 5 years, which is a lot of money and a lot of responsibility for the institutions who are awarded these Centres of Excellence. So what about the Rheumatoid Arthritis Pathogenesis Centre of Excellence? What are the research questions that underpin this theme, if you like? Pathogenesis, just really as John has alluded to, means the disease processes that get a disease going and keep it going, the mechanisms, the detailed bits. What are the research questions that underpin that? Well, it goes back to the point I made before, really, because actually the key questions are the questions that as rheumatologists we get asked in the clinic by our patients. So they're questions like, why does rheumatoid arthritis begin? Patients may not ask me that question exactly, but they will ask me, why me? Or, is my daughter going to get this condition because I've got it? And the answer is, we don't really know. We've got a lot of ideas, we do have a lot of information, we can begin to answer that question, but we don't really know what the triggers are that induce rheumatoid arthritis to get going. Where does it start? Why is it attacking my joints? We don't know the answer to that question. We don't know why this disease where friendly fire, if you like, the immune system attacks itself, seems to focus in the joints. How come it doesn't stop once it's started? We don't know the answer to that either. We don't know why a switch is switched on, but the body can't work out how to switch it off. And the question that upsets me most is when patients say, why are you giving me all these medicines that give me side effects, and I've still got the disease? So when we were, when John and his collaborators and my colleagues were looking at these questions and thinking about putting together a bid to apply for the Arthritis Research UK Centre of Excellence in Pathogenesis of Rheumatoid, it occurred to us that these are questions that have been around a long time, and it's going to be difficult to address them easily. So we had to think hard about how we were going to begin to address them. And there are basically 3 steps that we've taken here in Newcastle. And the first step's a very important step, and it's first and foremost collaboration. So we recognise that whilst we have a degree of expertise in researching rheumatoid arthritis, so too do other centres with whom we already have strong links. And the AR UK Pathogenesis Centre of Excellence is actually led by Ian McInnes, this gentleman here, who's up in Glasgow, in collaboration with John, who you've already met, and also with Chris Buckley down in Birmingham. And John mentioned that actually we already have, I mean, you can tell from our involvement with the traffic trial that John mentioned, that we're already engaging with these collaborators very closely. So this is really important because whilst we all bring, we all have a general expertise in researching rheumatoid arthritis, each centre has its own special areas of expertise. And I'm not going to go into these in detail, but I'd be very happy to talk to you about these afterwards. John mentioned, for example, and Drew, I think, that we're very good at collecting groups of patients, and that's largely thanks to the willingness of people in the North East to become involved in research. But by pooling our resources, we feel we can add value to this centre and hopefully improve our ability to accelerate progress in answering these very difficult questions. And so, a catchy name, the RA Centre of Excellence becomes RACE. There we go. Step 2, that was step 1, collaboration. Step 2 is actually recognising that we're in this for the long haul. So 5 years seems like a very long time, but in research terms, it's actually quite a short time. And whilst we're very confident and very excited about making real inroads into some of these questions during the next 5 years, we're also very clear that institutions like ours should be at the centre of recruiting the best scientists of the future. And so our Centre of Excellence will fund 12 3-year PhDs and 3 scientists in a postdoctoral programme for 5 years to actually help, to actually carry out the research in the lab. And one of the great advantages of being a collaboration is that these individuals will benefit from being able to move fluidly between the 3 centres and pick up different skills in different places and actually educate us, who are based here in Newcastle, with what they've learned. So we're really excited about that aspect of the centre. And finally, and very much as importantly, step 3 is engaging with patients to guide our research, engaging with the general public. And I've already said this, you're the people that ask the questions when you visit us in clinic. You're the people that support our research by supporting funding bodies like Arthritis Research UK. So you're absolutely key to this process. But the thing I haven't said yet is that you're also the people that tell us the answers. So when you're asked to fill in a questionnaire, you're telling us answers to these questions. When you very kindly give us a little bit extra blood, you're helping us answer these questions. When you give your time and spend a little bit longer engaged in research, coming to, for example, our clinical research facility, donating a sample of your synovial tissue, you're helping us to begin to answer these very difficult questions. And it's that generosity, I think, that's inspired us to develop a philosophy in which we genuinely feel that by marrying up excellence in clinical practice and evidence-based medicine in the clinic with our research interests, we can create a sort of virtuous cycle in which we not only provide the best quality care to patients in the clinic, but we also do the best quality research in the lab, hopefully to the advantage of all of us in the long run. So that's all I wanted to say. Oh. And I'll tell you about these later.